Hi, I'm Bry Cox, BryCoxWORKSHOPS.com. I've got a great question this week on creativity, on how to shoot more creative images, particularly to win awards at national competition so that we can start gaining merits and getting credentials like master, craftsman, things like that. So it's kind of an involved question and I got a long answer, but I'll shorten it down for a quick video right here because I cover a lot of this in my other longer courses on things like lighting and creativity and things. But for this quick video, I want to give you some ideas on being more creative. And I think one of the biggest things is to give yourself assignments, give yourself self-assignments. So imagine you're in like school and you've got a textbook. And so my recommendation is get a book that you think has a lot of great information. So go to the bookstore, look online, whatever. It's got chapter after chapter after chapter of things about photography that you don't know, and make every chapter an assignment that you're going to go out and shoot. And line up somebody, don't do it on an actual paid gig, but line up a model or a friend or something and start doing a regular shoot where you practice that chapter, turn the page, read it, practice that chapter. For me, I used to do this when I was young because I took every class I could in high school and college, but it wasn't enough for me. And I actually excelled really quickly in college because I bought a book. It was called The Joy of Photography and The Joy of Photography 2. They're really old books by Kodak, but every chapter I gave it myself as an assignment, and I would read the chapter and I would just go out and get friends and I would go out and try those things specifically so that when I was in school, by the time I got to whatever they're talking about, I was like, yeah, I know all that, right? Give me more. And so I was just like the head of the class, going really, really quickly through a lot of this. And even through a lot of my PPA degrees, I got a lot really done quickly because I had a lot of background. And I feel like this is one of the biggest things we can do, not only for our technique, but for our creativity. So to line up a fun shoot outside of our paid gigs. So whatever you like to shoot, if you don't get enough of those kind of shoots, if you shoot babies or whatever, line up that kind of a fun shoot and do it the way you want to do it. Line it up, get everything the way you want, and shoot it. And if you're at all bored with photography, if you feel like things are difficult or hard, give yourself more assignments that are difficult. Because creativity is problem solving. Now there's a balance, and the balance is it has to be a balance between technical and creative. So if everything's just completely creative, you can get bored. But if it's all super technical, you can get bored, right? So if you kind of imagine a graph like this, what we want is in the middle. We want to balance those two things together. We want enough creativity and chaos that there's things to solve and our brain is working. We're like, how can we do this? This is a challenge. We rephrase it in our mind. This terrible light outside is a challenge. How are we going to make this work, right? Along with the technique. And the technique is like the organization side of our brain. So there's those two halves of our brains and we get them to try to work together. We get them to work together by making things enough of a challenge that we can solve them, but not too much of a challenge that we can't solve them. So it's at our rate, wherever we are individually. So give yourself self-assignments, go out and shoot fun things, make it a challenge so that it's not just super easy. How am I going to make this work? You know, maybe I'm shooting a completely different lens. I'm just going to rock this lens today. It's a lens I don't even know about or how to use. I'm going to rock it. Or I'm not used to maybe using auxiliary light outside. So how am I going to make this work, right? And you figure these things out. How am I going to, and then how to do it, not with TTL, and not how to do things with the camera and auto, but how do you know how to do things? How do you set lights? How do you run your camera manually, custom white balance, custom lighting, all of these things, and get great expression, and you're constantly building. So that's the first thing, giving yourself challenges. Second thing is balancing the technical with the creative, so you get a nice balance between those two, and that way we're always growing and learning. And then the next thing is then to take our favorites from every photo shoot like this, particularly our creative shoots that we're specifically lining up, and start creating an album that we start putting our 1 or 2 favorites in. And just, it doesn't have to be a lot. Don't shoot a gazillion images, but of the same thing, lots of different shots. That's a whole nother step. That's another tip of creativity, is to never shoot the same thing twice. Change the shot every shot. And if you're going to make little changes to refine it, then only shoot 2 or 3 until you get the shot, and then move on to a whole nother idea and constantly be shooting new ideas. So that's the next big tip. But then you take your favorite couple that are just the wow images, put them in a folder. And then when it comes time now for state competition, maybe you put that folder on your phone, whatever, you can start looking through them. Pick out your favorite 4. And you want to make sure that the same model isn't in any of the same images, right? So if you have, you know, a couple of your favorites from one shoot, Nope, one picture from that shoot, one picture from that shoot. Narrow them down to your top 4, work them up, and if you're already nailing all these things in camera, this is all the kind of stuff we talk about with lighting and technique, then you don't have to do that much in workflow. And I got a whole course on workflow and all the fun, the creative stuff you can do with a photo. So you're already starting with amazing wow images that don't need anything fixed. Then when you put your time in digitally on the retouching and the workup and the cropping and things, it's going to make it all the better. The shining up of that image is going to make it even better. So you enter those 4 at local, at the state level. You see how they do, talk to the judges, get some feedback, and the judge might say, you know, this is just distracting. And the whole idea is you want your eye to go where you want it to go as the artist. And if the judge keeps looking over here to this thing or that thing, how can we crop that out or darken it or something? We got to get the eye going where we want it to go. So listen to what the judges say, make some adjustments, enter them at the district level. Talk to them again, get some feedback, and keep entering them up to the national level and see how you do on the merit. So there's a quick summary. I hope this helps. Let me know what you think. Let me know what books you've liked to look at for ideas, for creativity, for giving yourself self-assignments. And also, if you need more help or need a lot more detailed help and you want to look through any of my longer online courses, check them out. And I've also will be speaking. I got a couple week-long gigs, which I love. I love those ones because I really get to know the people in my class. They're smaller classes and I spend a week with them. I've got one in Texas. I got one that's at Texas School, West Coast School in California, as well as some other states where I go speak for a day here and there. But I've also got all my online stuff full. It's hours and hours and hours of courses on my website, which is my name, BryCoxWORKSHOPS.com. BryCoxWORKSHOPS.com. All right, you guys. Until next time, America.